The Anaheim Ducks have lost 6 straight and are now mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Jason Hernandez of Locked On Anaheim Ducks joins us to discuss the rebuild and what lies ahead for Anaheim.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome, everybody, to the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On NHL your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you can get new episodes as soon as they drop. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. It is my pleasure to welcome back to the show the host of Locked On Anaheim Ducks, Jason Hernandez, who, as you can see, is trying to stay calm. The Ducks on Sunday officially, mathematically eliminated from playoff contention for this sixth straight year.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sixth.
So that now becomes official. Tough game on Sunday on the penalty kill. What happened? and 3 power play goals for the Blues.
The same thing that's been happening every year. I'm thinking about Pinky and the Brain. What are we going to do this game? The same thing we do every night. Try to get as many penalties as possible. That's what it feels like. The Ducks are leading the league in something. They're leading the league in minor penalties. So, hey, the Ducks are number one in something. Yay. To be completely honest, the Ducks penalty kill was fairly bad before. It has gotten worse since the trade deadline. Of course, losing one of their top penalty killers, Sam Carrick, won't help with that. Injuries have not helped. The Ducks have been just bludgeoned with injury after injury until we finally get at least a couple of guys back. But even that's not helping. The lack of discipline has been appalling all season long. And I know you and I talked about this, about what are some of the penalties that you cannot blame the refs for. Delay a game, too many men, unsportsmanlike. That's been all year. This game was just bad plays, just penalties that they should not be taking, especially in the neutral zone, which they really should not be taking those kind of penalties when you have the puck. Those are killers.
How much of this is on coaching and how much of this is on the players, or what combination?
Oh, there's a combination, but I don't know which column I want to put more on, because Greg Cronin has made some questionable coaching decisions over the last few games. And in particular, the St. Louis game, he had Leo Carlsson, who just come back, and Troy Terry on the same line briefly. And lo and behold, Troy Terry got a goal while they were on a line together. Oh my God, that line actually works. To be very serious, that combination was clicking early in the season. Troy Terry did the unselfish thing to try to include Leo Carlsson in the offense, to try to give him confidence. We've seen that several times with several teams where you want to get the young guys involved. That's the mark of a captain-like player, right? I mean,
It's leadership.
Yeah, that's what Troy Terry has, his leadership. So to see those two separated after they had scored their goal, Greg Cronin, what are you doing there? So little things like that are why there's a little bit from the coaching column. From the players column, they need to be better disciplined, and they need to know, well, frankly, they need to know when to shut up sometimes, and they need to know when to control their stick. I mean, yeah, stick penalties are just abundant for the Anaheim Ducks. Like, stop bringing your stick between a player's legs. stop slashing like crazy, which the Ducks have done over and over and over again. And for the love of God, like actually get the puck out of the zone. That is on the players. The puck is on their stick, and continually they try to have a shovel pass or try to pass it to a teammate next to them instead of clearing the zone, which you are supposed to do. And if they don't do that, guess what's going to happen on the other side? You're going to have 2-minute long shifts where you cannot get anyone off the ice. You can't clear it. This happened against Minnesota the other night. 2.5 minutes of not clearing the puck. Gil, do you know how frustrating it is to see over and over again not doing those little things where the players are responsible for it?
Yeah, covering the Islanders, yes, I have seen that at times over the course of the season. I know it's rough right now. You mentioned the injuries. Give me some reasons for hope looking forward for this team. Maybe not for this season, but maybe some young guys that this team has on the roster or who will be on the roster next year that they can build around.
You know what I'm going to say, Gil. You know exactly what I'm going to say.
Say it.
Let the kids play. You're mathematically out. Play the kids like 20, 30 minutes a game and just let them rip and see what they can do. Forget about the veterans now. You're mathematically out. Let's see what Leo Carlsson can really do. Let's see what Pavel Mintyukov can really do. Let's see what Olin Zellweger especially can really do. I am so high on those guys. And both of those young guys in this game against St. Louis, they were generating offense.
Mm-hmm.
They were generating a lot of chances, a couple of them of the high danger variety. And why they didn't keep going back to that, it kind of baffles me a little bit, to be honest, because they have the ability to get pucks on net, but not just get pucks on net, but get pucks on net where they can generate a rebound chance, which is how Troy Terry got his first goal of the game. So let the kids play, or even bring a couple of kids that would be black aces. Bring them down to Anaheim for the end of the season and just let them go and see what they can do. I mean, that's my hope. Maybe not for this season because now it's tank time, but but hope for the future is to see how the young kids can truly develop and not get 10, 11 minutes here and there. Like, give them the heavy minutes. Give them the first line minutes, please.
And the power play and the penalty kill and all of that stuff.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I would like to see McTavish more on the penalty kill, like when he's back to 100%. I want to see that happen.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see Olin Zellweger on the PK as well, because even though he hasn't been on as much, when he was in juniors, he was experimented with in PK, and he was good in that role. So why not have those guys just, move stuff around, move players around, but also just give them chances for every strength. Give them a chance on the PK. Sure. Give them a chance on the power play. Yes. Put all the rookies on the same power play unit. See what happens there. So that's my faint hope.
What do you think is the next major step in this rebuilding program?
Lose the rest of the games. I'm partially joking, folks. I know you don't like to see teams tanking. However, let me point out, Gil, the Ducks were in this situation last year. They wound up with the worst record in the NHL. And what did it get them? It got them the number 2 pick in the draft lottery. And with that second pick, they were ready to draft Leo Carlsson.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I hate seeing the 1% of tweets. I still see these once in a while, and I hate it. Like, would this have happened if Adam Fantilli was picked number 2? No, Leo Carlsson is a terrific player. He's very good. So I think that's a little bit unfair to say that. But this time, just really let the tank just take place. Ensure that you're the 3rd worst odds in the league. Chicago is not going to win 5 more games this season. San Jose is not going to win 5 more games this season. It's just not going to happen. They're too far behind. So The next step, lose as much as possible until you get to a point where just like, you know what? Let's win a couple. Like, just go all out, play all the kids, see what happens. And the other big step in the rebuild is going to have to be to actually spend the money this offseason and go after a couple of guys. I know the big signing last year was, or last couple of years have been Vetrano, Strome, Gudas. Those have been the big signings and may have been a little bit of an overpay there on Strome. I get that. Or the year before when they had John Klingberg for the 1 year. Right. That was a pretty big overpay. So I think they need to go after a couple of guys, but also kind of be a little bit smarter about it and go after a couple of 2-year deals. Like, see what's really out there that can help this team in the, it's still a rebuilding stage, but now I feel like it's got to start going uphill at some point. I mean, last season, last place, historically bad. This season, not historically bad, but still the earliest that the Ducks have ever been mathematically eliminated. 2 years ago, April 10th, they were eliminated with 8 games left. Last season, March 19th. This year, March 17th, they are mathematically out with still 14 games left.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say this is the worst, but...
Yeah, not easy. No question. Jason, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they could find the podcast and where they could find you on social media?
Thank God you said social media at the end of that. They can find the podcast Locked On Anaheim Ducks wherever you get your podcast, free and available across all platforms. The X account is at StimpyJD. The show's X account is at LO_Ducks. They can find me on the socials there, the podcast there. They can also find me announcing Firebirds goals for Coachella Valley Firebirds hockey. At least that team's in the playoffs. At least.
All right, Jason, thanks so much. Always a pleasure.
You're welcome.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Say goodbye to busted brackets because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tourney. Whether it's betting on a big upset or a 1 seed, it's time to go dancing on America's #1 sportsbook, FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on point spreads, money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all. And it's not just college basketball. You've got pro basketball. Baseball is in spring training. And, of course, the hockey as well. So visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and bet college hoops until they cut down the nets. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOn, FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Check it out today.